at that.
Hey, Ben.
Like a bro, my friend. All right.
How's it going?
Let's break open
first
a beer or
question,
something.
can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay, awesome. Let me give it to you then.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So if we're talking about the American dream that you live, why don't I have access to that?
People who are coming in. I believe that everybody who comes into this country should come in through a legal mechanism, and that the United States ought to be able to select the people who are coming in, who are the best, brightest, and most useful to the American population, because that is the prerogative of any nation.
So do you think that the way that we do allow people in through our legalization process, especially with how much egregious obstacles people have to go through, might incentivize people to come through non-legal means?
I mean,
on average, it takes about 10 years for something.
I love that. I love that moment. You can see that moment sometimes in people, like I'm sure you've experienced it, myself included, when someone says something that fundamentally pulls into question your entire line of argumentation, maybe even your worldview, and then all of a sudden you're like,
to gain citizenship in this country. And if somebody is fleeing political persecution, I really find it interesting how conservatives always like to talk about the response to certain behaviors instead of what the root cause is. When oftentimes United States foreign policy is what creates the destabilization of countries, which is why people try to come to places where they can't get economic benefit. I mean, your employee, Matt Walsh, was kind of schooled on this with Ryan Grimm, where he talked about specifically Haitian policy, where the government of Haiti has been destabilized over and over again by Western imperial nations, so that those citizens are trying to flee something with political persecution.
I mean, is it your contention that anytime there's a destabilized nation across the world, even if the United States had a hand in it, then we then have a moral obligation to take in every citizen of that country who wishes to flee?
No, I think that's a huge straw man. I'm not saying that every single person from a destabilized country needs to take refuge in the United States, but I think it's important to add that context so you can understand why people are coming here.
That's a case for a different foreign policy. That's not a case for an immigration policy.
The idea is people are coming in here to mooch off of our emergency rooms or mooch off of our social services,
no, I don't
which
think
is just not true at all.
I mean,
I haven't seen this. Like once again, Jubilee is really just pumping out the classics, right? They had Charlie Kirk debates 50 woke students or something like that, and I'm sure this is like Ben Shapiro debates 50 woke students on immigration. If the rest of it is just as good as this, let me know. I'd gladly watch it because I think it's really funny. The entire ethos of Ben Shapiro and really started promoting him in the Daily Wire brand, in large part due to YouTube also promoting their stuff, was him going to college campuses and eviscerating the libs, just cucking them with facts until their brains couldn't logic anymore. And that entire thing, well, I mean, that song and dance works to a certain degree when you have an enormous imbalance of power. For example, Ben Shapiro typically does those things where he's in an auditorium surrounded by other people who are big fans of his work. So if you happen to be brave enough to get there for the Q&A period, to go in front of the microphone and stand there, you are in enemy territory. You're surrounded by maybe hundreds, if not thousands of people who hate your ideas, your viewpoints, all that kind of stuff, especially if you're there to speak about things like trans rights or some other issue that he's taking a lot of contention with. So you get there, you don't have media training. He does this for a living. All he does is speak into a microphone, for his 9 to 5. So you get up there and then all of a sudden you're a little bit nervous. Ooh, it's a lot harder in person than it looked on the TV when you watched the last evisceration. You didn't want to be another one of those people who he destroys, but you get up there and you're like, thank you. I just want to say that based on a recent report that came out approximately to, I can't hear you. Obviously, I mean, you have been cucked by wokeness and there's absolutely no value or worth to what you're saying. Capitalism's amazing, and subscribe to the Daily Wire, and works. Like people see that shit and they're like, whoa. Yeah, man, those wokies, they have no idea what they're talking about. Look how fast they fall apart in front of an actual titan, the cool kids philosopher, Ben Shapiro. And and that those cracks started to form a little bit more, especially like this was what he did, this is what Charlie Kirk does, this is what Steven Crowder does. But there's going to be moments where for every, 10 students you get to put into your compilation video of the epic ponage, there's a couple people who know their shit. There's a couple of people who aren't scared of you, and there's a couple of people who are going to sit across from you and just straight up be like, yeah, so that's just a lie. You are lying to your audience right now. This is not based in reality. Unfortunately, facts don't care about your feelings, Mr. Shapiro. The reality is the following, things like that. And you've seen those moments. They're amazing. You watch all the ones that whenever that happens to Charlie Kirk, whenever that happens to Steven Crowder, or whenever that happens to Ben Shapiro. But it's a little different when you start going on these Jubilee panels and it's like, hey, Ben Shapiro debates 50 woke college students. Well, there's still an imbalance of power. There's still a setup that just shows that you were already at a disadvantage just by definition because you actually had, it's 50 versus 1, okay? Even if you didn't perform incredibly, by definitionally, you did better because, again, so many people were banding together to try and battle you. So that one might help you a little bit. But I find in these ones now, a lot more people know their shit, and a lot more people are aggressively mad to start telling these kind of fucking assholes to their face why their lies hurt real world people. Not just immigrants, but everyone. You know, generally, if you're just spreading, again, far-right ideology, vilifying vulnerable minority groups in order to justify a lot of the shortcomings that happen under neoliberal capitalism.
Look at that.
Hey, Ben.
Like a bro, my friend. All right.
How's it going?
Let's break open
first
a beer or
question,
something.
can
Okay.
men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant,
Okay, awesome. So,
definitionally.
definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA? Sexual assault?
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about the existence? Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
Well, here, let me
supremacy.
give it to you, Ben.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So if we're talking about the American dream that you live,
So-
why don't I have access to that? Because there's no legislation, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body, so why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my
kind of an
face that I
obsession
radically
you
am
guys
not.
have.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about
No,
abortion,
I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist who actually share a lot of similarities to you and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years. Got
I
a wife.
recognize that you exist. I disagree with your
Right.
claim
So
that you
if
are
I
a male.
was sexually assaulted, right, and I didn't have access to that abortion care, do you believe that I should have carried that child to term because
What does
I
this
was
have to-
sexually assaulted?
I mean,
No, I just want to make sure that that's what you believe. Because as a transgender man, I have seen your side of the entire political debate, never ever having the conversation of what an American freedom is. Because why am I not allowed to live my American freedom as a man? You know, I mean, you get your choice as a man to live and free and all that.
You're really moving around terminology very wildly here.
And so are you, because that's the tactics you play in your game.
Private? How did she wind up at the top of the pyramid? And then once she's there, she lectures you like you did something. It's too much. You can't allow that. It's an offense against the truth, against reality, and against justice itself. And the second reason you can't allow it is very familiar to anyone who has children, which is if you allow it, you will encourage more of it. If you allow people to get away with things that are completely over the top and outrageous, if you allow your 2-year-old to smear the contents of his diapers on the wall of your living room, and you
Are you beating the fuck out of your 2-year-old? That's like already a terrible beginning. Also, like, what is with the barometer being change a tire? How many tires has Tucker Carlson changed? Like everything is just about a faux persona, you know? Like there's never any vulnerability. You can't be vulnerable as a man. I mean, that would make you a gay cuck. So, hey, I'm going to show you my studio filled with wood. Yeah. I got to look at all the wood shelves. Got like a wood shop. Got a bunch of tools. Got some wooden chairs. I'm going to imply maybe that I made it all myself. You know, man's man. A lot of wood.
do nothing about it. If you allow your 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table, if you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to like slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it.
This one's especially gross, given what I'm about to reveal to all of you, if you didn't already know, about Tucker Carlson's long history of both making pedophilic comments, defending pedophiles, as well as actually entertaining conversations that hypersexualize his own 14-year-old daughter.
And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for having fun, all right? I'm all for daddy Dommy, mummy Milky, all that kind of shit. Not like this. Not like this. The analogy he's making is that Trump is America's daddy, and he's gonna show up to spank all of you bad boys and girls into being better. That's what he's going with at the Turning Point Action Committee.
Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's gonna have to let them know. He's gonna have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
So weird. Yeah, so gross, obviously. And also, the dad in this analogy sounds like an abusive alcoholic who's coming home and is like, Dad is pissed. Dad is pissed. Why? Because you can't control your emotions at the fact that your own daughter gave you the finger? And that's worthy of now abusing your children? Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not an American, but I wouldn't want that as the president. I wouldn't want that as the prime minister in Canada. If someone's like, hey, by the way, we got a prime minister who's going to treat you like a little boy, and he's going to spank you when you're bad. It's like, what are we doing? What are you talking about? I mean, why are you putting this on Maine? You know, broadcasting the horny.
And no, it's not gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this.
He wrote this, by the way. This was like, hey, by the way, you have to speak at the Turning Point Action Conference in order to promote Donald Trump. You know, do you need help? Do you need a scriptwriter? It's like, nah, I got this one. I got an analogy that I'm thinking of using. Yeah, you'll find out that it's quite appropriate.
You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl. And it has to be this way. It has to be this way because it's true. And you're only going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did. That's not said in the spirit of hate. It's not said in the spirit of vengeance or bigotry. Far from it. It's said in the spirit of justice, which is the purest and best thing there is.
I'm vengeance. Well, this is obviously weird and gross, and, you know, is being called out rightfully for what it is, but I don't know if a lot of people, because maybe they haven't been, you know, as brain poisoned by the internet as long as I have, know just how many times Tucker Carlson has been revolting and disgusting in regards to, you know, pedophilia, the treatment of children, the abuse of children. This one is live from Fox.
In front of the entire class. Alicia Smith, pictured on the screen, accused of grinding on the 15-year-old, putting her head between his legs and fondling him. Smith reportedly admits to doing all this, but only after the rest of the class, she says, convinced her to. Okay. So, you know, I think...
So, just so we're clear, this is a story, a real story that happened where a teacher sexually abused a 15-year-old boy, and now they're going to discuss it.
Legitimate opinion divides whether this was appropriate for the classroom or not. But there are people, hold on, let me finish. There are people out there who believe that there ought to be criminal sanctions brought against this woman. And I think that's deranged.
So if the class had
because there's no victim here.
If the class had tried to convict her or convince her of committing a crime like killing somebody, would she have done it too?
But this isn't a crime. That's the point I'm making. A crime suggests a victim, and
what do you
no
mean
one
there's no
here
victim,
is
though? There's a 15-year-old kid, and then you have a grown-up teacher.
There's a 15-year-old boy.
15-year-old
So having been a 15-year-old boy, I can tell you, unless there's something we don't know about this kid's life has not been
I
destroyed.
have
He is not
taught
a victim.
15-year-old boys. I assure you they are still kids.
This is the
They may
dream
be
of
laughing,
15-year-old
but I
boys.
assure you.
This is the dream of 15-year-old boys. He just dropped that at the very end there. Yeah. So this one, by the way, this is not like, oh, secret recording. The leaked tapes have come out. Tucker Carlson, defends the sexual abuse of a 15-year-old high school student. That was on Fox. That was a Fox panel. And he's just on the Fox panel. He's just sitting there talking to everyone. I mean, are we really going to go after these dream makers? You know, I mean, did the teacher really abuse the kid at the end of the day? I mean, that little boy is probably a legend in that school. Come on. Should be high fives around. This is on primetime television. Again, not secret leaked tapes. I have secret leaked tapes. Tucker Carlson, while going on a show called Bubba the Love Sponge, was then asked about his teenage daughter potentially having sexual experiences with other teenage girls in high school, and talking about whether or not Tucker Carlson finds that sexy.
Here's Trixie. She wants to explore my body a little bit, so hey, let's go crazy. Wow.
That if it weren't my daughter,
That's
I'd
one
applaud
theory.
that.
Well,
If it weren't my daughter, I would love that scenario. Direct quote. Tucker Carlson. How old is his daughter, you might ask?
I mean, it's
I just can't, and I just think that's pretty unlikely.
can you tell him, as outlandish as that is, how old is your daughter?
14.
Yeah. Profoundly fucked on just so many levels. Just so many levels across the board. So yeah, Tucker Carlson is big gross, really filthy, horrifying human being, and has been for a long time. He tried to downplay all of the leaked takes that came out from, I mean, I say leaked, but at the end of the day, every single episode of him on Bubba the Love Sponge is in the deep recesses of the internet. You can find a lot of them. But just being like, yeah, so now apparently the woke liberals are trying to cancel me for some naughty things I said years ago on a radio show. Well, those naughty things included saying that you would be sexually aroused by 14-year-old girls in high school, hooking up together if one of them hadn't been your daughter. Profoundly fucked up statement to say out loud and admit on a broadcasted radio show. Again, not like this is a private conversation between him and some pedophile where they're talking about what massive pedophiles they both are. This is him on a radio show broadcasting this shit. Just like the other one was not him having a secret conversation with a pedophile, talking about what huge pedophiles they were, about how it's okay for teachers to give lap dances to students if the students are boys, if the victims are boys. That was him on fucking Fox News. On Fox News. So, yeah, it is profoundly disturbing to see someone now who's, I guess, representing or promoting Donald Trump trying to be like, hey, I've got an analogy for you all right? All of you are a little girl. That's you, America, the little girl, and Trump is daddy, and daddy's coming home to spank all of you, spank you good. You might even like it a little bit. Like, ew, fuck off. This shit is fucking repulsive.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.